علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي 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 مولا.
If there is no unity amongst those who claim to love Amir al-Mu'mineen or claim to have the wilayat, then how do we expect to be united when he comes? That 100,000 plus individuals stood in the plains of Ghadeer, the prophet of their time in front of them, the Imam of their time in front of them, a very open revelation in front of them, but yet when it came to the crux, they all turned against him. Or if they didn't turn against him, they stayed silent, thus became party to the oppression upon Ahlul Bayt. The question that we have to ask ourselves in light of Ghadeer is, will we turn against or stay silent when our Imam comes and he tells us to do something that is not in line with this house of cards of Islam that we have created? This house of Islam that we have built upon sand, this watered down version of the faith that we so readily accept. When he comes and gives us the true Islam, will we have the courage? Will we have the ability to swallow our pride and be able to accept what he is saying? Or will we turn against him or stay silent in front of him the same way 100,000 people, not just 100,000 people, no, 100,000 companions. Not just 100,000 companions, 100,000 Hujjaj, not just 100,000 Hujjaj, but amongst them many of them Hafiz of the Quran. Many of them who witnessed the life of Amir al-Mu'mineen, but when it came down to it, they turned away from him. They had no unity amongst themselves. How are we going to counter it? How are we going to stop turning against the Imam of our time? How are we going to accept his wilayat? Because wilayat is not, like I said in yesterday's event, wilayat is not worn on the sleeve. Wilayat is not shown by having a zulfiqar tattooed to my forehead, or to my arm, or to my back, or having a zulfiqar hanging around my neck, or in the rear view mirror of my car. Wilayat is far greater than that. Wilayat is not being born as Sayyid. Wilayat is far greater than that. Because wilayat is farad. Being born from the family of Ahlul Bayt is fadl, is virtue. It's a narration from the 6th Imam. He says, surely the wilayat of Ali ibn Abi Talib is more dearer to me than wiladat, being born from amongst the children of Ali. For surely being born a Sayyid is a virtue, but having the wilayat is an obligation. Wilayat is not worn on the sleeve. Wilayat is not contained within our names. Our wilayat is far greater than that. Wilayat is far greater than that. It is far more spiritual than that. It is far more deeper than the superficial wilayat that we have created for ourselves. Because it was that superficial wilayat that was shown after the death of the Holy Prophet. Because on the face of it, they all came, Bakhin, Bakhin, Yabna Abi Talib. They all came, they congratulated him. But the superficial wilayat, its true colors were shown in Saqifa. It was shown. Because that wilayat was superficial. It was lip service. Because they didn't live that life. They didn't have the unity amongst themselves. So how do we counter it? How do we bring about that change within our lives in order to counter those individuals that ended up turning against the Imam of their time? First and foremost, unity. If there is no unity amongst those who claim to love Amirul Mu'mineen or claim to have the wilayat, then how do we expect to be united when he comes? Because we'll be like, no, we're calling him first. We announced our event first. So, no. We announce him first. We'll pay him more. We want the Imam in our event. I make light of it, but there is a deep-rooted issue that we have here. It is an issue, if not resolved, will lead to the destruction of our communities. If we continue to split ourselves on the basis of race, we will not survive. If we continue to see people by their races, we will not survive. If we say, oh, Iranians, we can't sit with Pakistanis because, they have too much chili in their food. Or Iraqis, we can't sit with, the Iranians because they have way too much vegetables. We need more meat. We will not survive. If our differences are so petty. If our TV channels cannot unite, we will not survive. If our ulama cannot unite, we will not survive. If we cannot unite against the enemy that is within us, the ghalis, the ghullats, those that are bringing about an extremist form of tashayyu, where they are attacking the tawheed of Ahlul Bayt and attributing uluhiyyah to Ahlul Bayt, we will not survive. It is time that we united against these deviant factions within us for the betterment of Ahlul Bayt. Unite in order to counter a saqifa happening amongst us when our Imam comes.
حب علي فوز الشيعة